Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel. This insight from Machiavelli points to something most people experience but refuse to acknowledge: the secret comfort of being told what to do. Last month, I was drowning in decisions: career pivot, relationship uncertainty, financial planning. Everything required my constant mental energy. Then my micromanaging boss started dictating my daily schedule, and something disturbing happened. I slept better that week than I had in months. Someone else was carrying the psychological weight. The relief was immediate and shameful. That shame revealed what Machiavelli understood about human nature centuries ago. We don't crave freedom nearly as much as we claim. What we actually want is someone competent to make the hard choices, so we don't have to live with the consequences of our own judgment. Have you ever felt a guilty sense of relief when someone else made a difficult decision for you? Chapter 2: The Psychological Subscription Service. We've built what I call a psychological subscription service. An entire economy based on people paying others to think for them. Walk through any bookstore and notice how the self-help section has exploded into detailed protocols for every aspect of existence. Morning routines, evening routines, dating strategies, parenting frameworks, productivity systems, meditation apps that tell you exactly how to breathe. It's like we've decided that developing personal judgment is too risky, so we'd rather rent someone else's decision-making process. Your fitness app doesn't just track your workouts. It tells you exactly when to exercise, what to eat, how much water to drink. Your meditation app doesn't teach you to sit with uncertainty. It provides guided everything, eliminating the discomfort of figuring out your own contemplative practice. Dating apps have turned romantic connection into a gamified system where algorithms decide who you meet. Career platforms promise to optimize your professional trajectory through data analysis. Financial apps offer to automate your entire economic life based on predictive modeling. The genius of this psychological subscription service is that it feels like empowerment while systematically eroding your capacity for independent thought. You're not being controlled, you're being optimized. You're not losing autonomy, you're gaining efficiency. Have you ever noticed how the more apps and systems you use to organize your life, the more anxious you feel when they're not available? What we've created is a culture where paying someone to think for you has become a status symbol. The more sophisticated your life management systems, the more successful you appear. But Machiavelli would have recognized this immediately. The most effective control makes people grateful for their own subjugation. Chapter 3: Machiavelli's Psychological Revelation. Niccolò Machiavelli is remembered as the philosopher of ruthless power, but his deeper discovery was about human psychology. People will enthusiastically surrender their freedom if you can make that surrender feel like safety. In The Prince, he wasn't just teaching rulers how to dominate, he was revealing why domination works so predictably. Machiavelli observed that humans live in constant tension between two fundamental desires: autonomy and security. When these conflict, security wins almost every time. A population will accept authoritarian control if that control promises to eliminate uncertainty, reduce complexity, and provide clear answers to overwhelming questions. But here's where Machiavelli's analysis becomes psychologically sophisticated. The most effective control doesn't announce itself as control. It presents itself as guidance, optimization, or even love. The authority figure who demands obedience creates resistance. The authority figure who offers to carry your psychological burdens creates gratitude. This pattern extends far beyond political power. Any expert, algorithm, boss, or even romantic partner can exploit this same vulnerability. They don't need to force compliance. They just need to offer relief from the genuine difficulty of self-governance. Machiavelli understood that the most dangerous power is the kind people actively request. When someone begs to be managed, they've already rationalized away their own agency. They've convinced themselves that dependence is actually wisdom. Isn't it fascinating how we can simultaneously pride ourselves on being independent while actively seeking systems and people to manage our choices? The psychological subscription service operates on pure Machiavellian principles. Make people grateful for the elimination of their own decision-making burden. What feels like convenience is actually a sophisticated transfer of personal power to external authorities. Chapter 4. The Sophisticated Architecture of Modern Dependency. Today's control systems have evolved beyond Machiavelli's wildest imagination. They don't announce themselves as control. They masquerade as personalization, convenience, and optimization. Your smartphone doesn't admit it's designed to capture your attention. It promises to keep you connected. Social media algorithms don't acknowledge they're manipulating your emotions. They claim to show you content you'll love. These systems create what I call manufactured complexity. They generate an overwhelming array of choices, then position themselves as the solution to the overwhelm they created. Netflix offers thousands of viewing options, but ensures you only see 12 through algorithmic curation. Dating apps present infinite romantic possibilities while engineering the psychological conditions that make commitment nearly impossible. The most sophisticated modern control operates through what psychologists call learned helplessness in convenience clothing. Your navigation app doesn't just provide directions, it actively prevents you from developing spatial awareness. Your calculator app doesn't just compute numbers, it ensures you never develop mathematical intuition. Your social media feed doesn't just provide information, it systematically destroys your capacity for sustained attention. In relationships, this same dynamic appears as emotional management disguised as care. The partner who helps by handling all financial decisions might be systematically creating dependency. The friend who always has strong opinions about your choices might be unconsciously training you to outsource your judgment. Why do you think some of the most convenient technologies seem to require increasingly more of your time and attention? The psychological subscription service has perfected the art of solving problems it creates, making each solution generate new dependencies. It's Machiavellian control optimized for the attention economy. Chapter 5. The Cultural Psychology of Voluntary Servitude. When individual psychological patterns scale to entire societies, they create what Machiavelli would recognize as systems of voluntary servitude. We've built institutions, technologies, and cultural norms that systematically discourage independent judgment while making that discouragement feel like progress. Consider how our educational system conditions people for a lifetime of seeking external authority. Students spend 12 to 16 years learning to wait for instructions, follow predetermined curricula, and seek approval from authority figures. They're rarely taught to trust their own curiosity or develop independent critical thinking. Then they enter workplaces operating on identical principles, follow company policies, meet predetermined metrics, seek managerial approval. This creates adults who are psychologically conditioned to equate rule following with competence and authority seeking with responsibility. When they encounter complex personal decisions, career changes, relationship challenges, financial planning, their trained response is to seek an expert system to eliminate the discomfort of autonomous choice. The result is what I call the expertise dependency spiral. People feel inadequate making their own decisions, so they seek expert guidance. The expert provides a framework that temporarily reduces anxiety but doesn't develop the person's decision-making capacity. When the next complex situation arises, they feel even less capable and seek even more sophisticated external management. Meanwhile, entire industries emerged to monetize this dependency. The coaching industry promises systematic approaches to every life challenge. The wellness industry creates elaborate protocols for physical and emotional optimization. The productivity industry offers to systematize creativity and spontaneity. Have you ever noticed that seeking more expert advice often makes you feel less confident in your own judgment? We've created what Machiavelli would have called profitable subjugation, systems that solve the symptoms of poor decision-making while perpetuating and deepening the underlying psychological causes. The psychological subscription service scales from individual apps to entire cultural operating systems. Chapter 6: The disturbing truth about freedom and control. Here's what every discussion about freedom gets completely wrong. True autonomy isn't the absence of influence, it's the conscious choice of which influences to accept. Machiavelli understood this paradox. The person who believes they're completely free is usually the most controlled, while the person who consciously chooses their constraints often has genuine agency. Every expert, system, or authority promising to make your life easier is requesting a specific trade, some aspect of your decision-making capacity in exchange for convenience. This isn't inherently problematic. We all rely on others' expertise in areas beyond our competence. The danger emerges when we stop being conscious of these trades and start making them automatically. The most sophisticated control systems work by making dependency feel like empowerment. The algorithm curating your newsfeed doesn't present itself as censorship. It offers personalized content. The app tracking your behavior doesn't advertise surveillance. It promises insights about yourself. The expert providing detailed life instructions doesn't call it control, they frame it as optimization. But here's the crucial distinction. Conscious dependency preserves agency, while unconscious dependency erodes it. When you deliberately choose to follow expertise in specific areas while maintaining critical evaluation of that choice, you're exercising freedom. When you automatically defer to authority without examining the psychological trade-offs, you're practicing submission. Nothing says personal empowerment quite like paying someone $497 to teach you how to trust your own intuition. The irony is apparently not included in the course materials. The counterintuitive truth is that genuine autonomy requires developing comfort with uncertainty, ambiguity, and the genuine possibility of making mistakes. This psychological work is genuinely difficult, which is why most people avoid it. It's much easier to find someone promising certainty and follow their system. What might your intense desire for the right answer be protecting you from discovering about your own judgment? Chapter 7: The ongoing practice of conscious choice. Understanding your relationship with control doesn't eliminate the tension between security and autonomy. It makes you conscious of when you're navigating that tension deliberately versus when you're avoiding it entirely through psychological outsourcing. I still catch myself gravitating toward experts who promise to eliminate uncertainty. I still feel the psychological pull toward systems that offer to manage complexity for me. The difference is recognizing these impulses as information about my current psychological state rather than reliable guidance about what I should actually do. Machiavelli's insights about human nature weren't meant to be cynical. They were meant to be liberating through brutal honesty. When you understand that the desire to be managed is a predictable response to complexity and uncertainty, you can work with that desire consciously instead of being manipulated by it unconsciously. This doesn't mean rejecting all expertise or authority. It means developing what I call conscious dependency, deliberately choosing when to seek guidance and when to trust your own judgment based on clear reasoning rather than psychological comfort seeking. The real challenge isn't avoiding all external influence. It's recognizing when you're choosing submission out of fear versus when you're choosing collaboration out of wisdom. That distinction requires ongoing psychological work that nobody can systematize for you, no matter what their marketing promises. Developing genuine autonomy is a lifelong practice involving getting comfortable with uncertainty, building tolerance for your own mistakes, and learning to distinguish between valuable expertise and sophisticated psychological manipulation. Your ability to think critically about these ideas suggests you're already doing this work. The question isn't whether you'll ever be completely free from the desire to be managed. The question is whether you'll remain conscious of that desire so you can choose how to respond to it. Here's what becomes possible. Instead of seeking someone to eliminate uncertainty, you develop the capacity to navigate it wisely. Instead of outsourcing your judgment to systems and experts, you build the psychological strength to make your own mistakes and learn from them. Instead of subscribing to other people's decision-making processes, you develop your own. The psychological subscription service will always be available, promising to think for you in exchange for your agency. Machiavelli would have recognized this as the eternal human choice: comfortable servitude or uncomfortable freedom. What does your relationship with that choice reveal about who you're becoming? If this exploration resonated with you, I'd love to hear about your own recognition moments in the comments below. When have you caught yourself seeking control disguised as convenience? And if you're interested in more psychological insights that challenge comfortable assumptions, subscribe to Keys to the Psyche for content that respects your intelligence while helping you understand the deeper patterns shaping your choices.